Hey guys, we're back. This time we're doing a deck tech on the Mono Blue Devotion deck that got first, second, and third at the Pro Tour. So let's go right ahead into it. I wanted to touch a little on the one drops in the deck. We have Cloudfin Raptor and Judge's Familiar. I started playing this deck about a week before the Pro Tour started, and I wanted to work a little bit more on it. And I worked on it a lot last week, and I felt like these cards weren't as effective against like the more controlling decks. The decks with just like tons of removal, the decks with Supreme Verdict. But I think that at the Pro Tour, you really want to be on a plan where your deck is really pushing, trying to get more damage through, and trying to get the game over with. Well, not really get the game over with, but trying to do just one type of thing versus like doing multiple things, whether you have Cloudfin Raptor or you have like Jace in your deck. So I elected to play at the Classic this last weekend a version without it. I had some quickens in my deck to make my deck speed up a little bit. No, but really what was happening was like I'd have to play like a 2-drop on turn 2 and then like a 2-drop on turn 3, and I just wanted something to fill the void. But I think that the Cloudfin Raptors are very good in the deck. I think they're really essential in the mirror match. Judge's Familiar I'm still not really sold on, but this is a good way to test it out and see what's really going on. I think that there might need to be more Bidens in the deck. Sam Black had 3, whether it's Biden or Jace. I mean, it's kind of a toss-up, but Jace is a good card when you're not really behind, but you don't really have a whole lot going on. And that's really what was happening a lot with the deck, was I felt like my Cloudfin Raptors and my Tidebinder Mage would die, and then I'd have these Bidens where it didn't really do a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I also didn't really have as many Mutavolts as they did, so that could have been the problem as well. Just moving right along, we have Frostborn Weird and Tidebinder Mage and a couple Omen Speakers for our 2-drops. Frostborn Weird, just a very good card. With the double blue, he has a huge defense, 1/4, and he can go really aggressive in the controlling matchups where you need him to be.
He's very good at attacking planeswalkers.
Yeah, especially unblockable. We'll get to that later. So Tidebinder Mage, just a really good metagame call this last weekend at the Pro Tour. I mean, the green-white deck was really good. The red decks were, just all over. And it's, just to be able to lock those creatures down. A lot of the green-white decks really didn't even have any removal besides Selesnya Charm. And so you really can't ever kill a Tidebinder Mage unless you block with it or force a block with it.
Yep. Plus, it does a very good job of adding to your devotion for Thassa.
Yeah, and the double blue is, really what makes it be able to, work well in the deck against the decks that aren't, the red or green decks that you can tap anything down with.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Nightveil Spectre in the deck. When I first saw this card, I thought, this isn't a real Magic card. Now it's $8, and
the world's just all crazy.
Yeah, times are changing. The minute that I got a Lightning Strike, I was just, nope, get this out of my deck and not playing this. But I mean, if you ever played in the mirror match, it's just insane. If you ever hit with it,
It's also very good against Esper and blue-white too.
Yeah, against a deck that's not trying to kill you really quick. It's just draw a card every turn, basically. Yeah. Ophidian, if you will. The couple Omen Speakers, just trying to smooth the draws out a little bit. They do evolve your Cloudfin Raptors. If his toughness isn't more than 3. We also have Master Waves, just another one of the cards that really pushes the deck over the top. If your Master Waves lives, you're probably going to win. And, against the red decks, being protection from red is really just what you needed. You get all your creatures shocked or magma jetted, and then you play this, 4-drop where he makes, 2 to 3 tokens against the red deck, and he blocks, and they all block, and, it's just very, very good.
Now, because I think there's an interesting dynamic between Nightveil Spectre and Master Waves. Mm-hmm. Because Master is just so good, a lot of people are going to be changing their removal spells to be able to kill Master Waves.
Yeah.
So, obviously Hero's Downfall is just, the premier removal spell in the format.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be a lot less cards like Abrupt Decay and a lot more cards like Doomblade, since they actually hit Master Waves, which could just kind of freeze up our Nightveil Spectre. There isn't a lot of cards being played that handle Nightveil Spectre.
Yeah.
And can handle Master Waves. It's pretty much, it's mainly Hero's Downfall.
Right.
So that's what people are moving towards, the Doomblades for the Masters, and Nightveil Spectre just gains a lot more stock at that point.
Yeah. And if you're ever able to curve out, 1, 2, 3, and the 4, it's just insane. But then we go to the key card of the deck, which is Thassa, God of the Sea. This probably wouldn't be a deck without it. Just between the ability to scry, being indestructible, making a creature unblockable, and just being a 5/5 when it can. For 3. It's just insane. There's no reason to never play 4 in your deck. Legendary, yeah, sure, but you want to play one every single game. So just having access to 4 of them is really where you want to be at. And with the Nykthos in the deck, this deck in particular doesn't play Nykthos, but some of the decks do play Nykthos, and you're able to just make a bunch of mana, give all your creatures unblockable, and then just swing for lethal. So there's an interesting mix of spells. So the non-creature spells, there's 1 Bident in the deck, 1 Disperse, 2 Jace Architect of Thought, and 2 Cyclonic Rift. The Cyclonic Rift kind of surprised me when I didn't see any Nykthos in the deck, and you really have to actually get to 7 mana in order to do it, and that's why I think that the mix between the Disperse and the 2 Cyclonic Rift, Disperse can be either Mizium Skin or it can be unsummon. So you either want to, against the control decks, you can wait till you get to 6 mana with your Master of Waves and then play it out, and then if they try and kill it, just disperse it back to your hand, because the tokens are going to die anyways. But you can use it in just a multitude of different ways. You can bounce their Detention Sphere, you can bounce what they target with the Detention Sphere. If they get your Bident or your Jace. Just the fact that it's any non-land permanent is really good, whereas Cyclonic Rift is your opponent's. And I mean, Upheaval targeting you is probably very good, which it is.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
But just having the ability with the 1 Disperse, I do like that a lot. A lot of times, you can get to 4 mana against a red deck, and you play the Tidebinder Mage, and you want to bounce it with Cyclonic Rift, but you can't because that's not what it does. So, I also like the mix between the Bident. When I first started playing this deck, I had 4 Bident in it, and then I moved to 2, the 2/2 split with Jason Bident, and then I just had 4 Jason in my deck, because Bident is one of those cards that, when it, I mean, I don't want to say that it's when you're already winning, it just lets you win more, but it kind of is, just on the fact that, if you already have all these creatures in play, that you can either give unblockable or they're, dealing damage to your opponent somehow, then it's good. But, if you don't have any creatures in play,
yeah,
it's
I feel like with Bident, I only want to draw it if, I already have stuff going on. Whereas with Jace, I'm fine drawing it if I have stuff going on or if I just have Jack Squat.
Right, yeah.
I'm fine with Jace on almost any board position, whereas Bident requires specific board positions for it to be very good.
Yeah, agreed. So we also have, there's 3 Mutavaults in this version.
And a bunch of beautiful islands.
Yeah, I don't know if you can actually tell, but these 2 islands are different pictures, this island and these. I wanted to have this one island in here to see if maybe, if and when I do draw it, if it would be better as the 4th Mutavault or not. Because it did have 1 Mutavault in the sideboard, but it's also you have triple blue on turn 3 that you need to hit. So that could be a problem, and I could see why they have the Mutavault in the sideboard and not in the main deck, but, I really just want to get a feel for the deck, play a little bit with it, and, go from there. But this is the main deck, so we'll take a look at the sideboard, and then we'll get to battling.
Righty.
So here we are with the sideboard for the Mono Blue Devotion deck. We've got the 4th Mutavault on the sideboard. Like I said, I really wanted to see if, it might not be worth just playing an extra one in the main deck, the 4th one in the main deck. I mean, what do you think about the...
Well, I think that with only playing 24 lands in the main, or is it 20? Yeah, 24 lands in the main. If you want to have Aetherling and the rest of your Jaces in the sideboard, you probably have to have access to a 25th land somewhere.
Yeah.
So either it could be an island, it could be an Encroaching Waste, or it could be the 4th Mutavault, depending on where you have the Mutavault. So I think we probably want a land in the sideboard.
Yeah.
And what it is really is up for grabs, I guess.
Right, yeah. It's just, whenever you want to bring in, like, your Aetherlings or your Jace, and I mean, if they do have, like, Supreme Verdict, then, Medieval can go ahead and get in there after that happens. So we've got 3 Wall of Frost in the deck. These are for, like, the red decks, any, like, a red-greenish deck, you just block, like, the big dumb creatures.
It's probably pretty good against green-white, too.
Yeah, agreed. I'm not sure if it is actually for Obsidat, but there's no rapid hybridizations on the sideboard, so it can block Obsidat, but it's kind of weird because it still, like, drains you, and they gain the 2, and it doesn't really, the untap doesn't affect, but it does prevent the 5 damage if they have no removal. So, I mean, it's a semi-answer to it. But moving right along, we have 1 Pithing Needle in the sideboard, which at one point I had 1 Pithing Needle in my main deck for the red-green combo deck that you were playing.
Oh, jeez.
But we got rid of that and trying to just kill you dead. But Pithing Needle, just an overall catch-all card of, whether you want to name Polychronos or Domri or Garruk or any of those planeswalkers, or anything with an activated ability, pretty much. Trident Tactics. I've never played with this card outside of Theros Limited, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one. I think it's probably just for, like, the red decks.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably good against any deck that Wall of Frost is good against, right?
Right,
like,
yeah.
Anywhere where we want to be, blocking their stuff.
Right, yeah.
So
just make your guys a little bigger toughness, and
it'd be kind of sweet to ambush somebody untapping your Thassa.
Right. Yeah. So we also have the 2 Jace. They go, like I said, they go along with when you bring in the Aetherling and the Mutavault and probably the Negates, just against the control matchups where Jace is very powerful, and if it goes unanswered, you'll probably win the game. We also have a couple Ratchet Bomb in the deck in the sideboard for the Mistcutter Hydras and the Skylashers that are out there. So for this weekend, you probably want a 3rd Ratchet Bomb because I think that those green decks are probably going to be up there. Definitely with tons of pro-blue guys and lots of hate. So be ready for the hate because it's coming. There's 3 Negates in the sideboard, which I think might be better as gainsays, especially since this is, the mirror match is going to be huge. And
which is actually something that he had said. So Sam played against one of the guys playing this deck in the top 4, and in the coverage it actually notes that he asked, they were talking about Sam having gainsays and the other guy not having gainsays because Sam expected there to be a lot of blue decks, and the other gentleman had admitted that he didn't expect them and hoped that they wouldn't be there, so they didn't play the gainsays. So gainsay is definitely where you want to be over the negate.
Yeah, agreed. And then the 2 Aetherling, just for, the control decks, it's the best card you can draw when you're flooded out, and, can just very easily take over the game if it does ever resolve.
Yeah, it's very good against the Supreme Verdict decks.
Right. So that's the sideboard. We'll get this deck shuffled up, and then we're ready to go.